Welcome to SpringLaw's 2019 SpringForward Legal Updates Webinar Series. This series is designed to provide a comprehensive legal overview of key issues related to employment law and human rights in Ontario. SpringLaw is a virtual employment law firm advising on workplace legal issues for employers, employees, freelancers, and executives from a wide range of industries. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar and find it useful and informative. To reach our team, please visit SpringLaw at www.springlaw.ca. And now to our presenters.
Good morning and welcome to the SpringLaw SpringForward Legal Updates monthly webinar series. Today is the second of our 2009 monthly webinars, and our topic today is how to contain your workplace legal fees with tech and data systems. My name is Lisa Stam. I'm one of the lawyers here at SpringLaw, and if you're one of our clients, you already know that we are an employment and contract lawyer firm at our virtual law firm based out of Ontario. If you're new to our law firm community, welcome. Today I'm going to share with you my thoughts about tech, data systems, and legal fees, an issue that is near and dear to my heart. It goes to the core of how technology and the internet have forever transformed the legal landscape. People have access to so much free information online, and today's lawyers have this great, and I would say urgent, opportunity to reevaluate how we bring value to the table. How to gather the information and facts and evidence from our clients, and then how to deliver legal services in our new information age. The need for legal services is not going to go away anytime soon, but how we deliver those legal services, how we price those services in the information age, and how we as lawyers stay relevant to and useful to our clients are all at the core of why we founded our virtual paperless tech-driven law firm of SpringLaw. During this webinar, please feel free to ask any questions through the chat function. If we can't get to your questions, we'll be sure to reach out to you afterwards. The slides will be provided after the presentation, or you can just go to the handouts tab on the software that you're looking at right now. Okay, let's jump in. I have lots to talk about today, so let's jump in. I'm Lisa Stam. The presentation roadmap. So here's the 8 things I'm going to talk about. Billing 101, exactly how do law firms bill. I think it's important to understand that so that clients can then address billing issues and understand where there might be flexibility for saving legal fees. Types of billing arrangements. Types of legal issues, the question, do I have a case? I need to talk about that. Do I have special Snowflake legal services that need to be addressed? The tech and modern legal bills, how to contain your legal fees, and then 10 questions you should ask your lawyer when you're hiring someone. Okay, so the billable hour, billing 101. Professional services, including legal services, are based on time. Time is, for law firms, traditionally, it's billed in 1/10 of an hour increments, so 6-minute increments. And it actually comes out of the development of computer software in the 80s. It was developed for lawyers, for law firms, to measure the metrics of their lawyers. So it was not designed to be better for clients or to bring more value. It was an accounting metric for law firms once the software became available. We are now in this era where we're starting to revert back and think again about what is this file worth to the client? How much time did we as lawyers put on the matter, but how much time, what is this worth to the client? How much should it cost? I mean, that's a question that's now being asked. I'm sure clients have always been asking that, but there's this leverage that clients have now because we can all access a lot of information online, and many people are choosing to do that instead of using a lawyer. And so we're in this era where we need to think, okay, how can the legal judgment experience, training of a lawyer be helpful still in that era? Anyways, billing 101. we do find that many clients actually do still like the billable hours, so it's not just a client or market-driven issue. If you have a great relationship with your lawyer, you trust their judgment, you know that they have your interests in mind, and there's very detailed narratives on each monthly invoice, then it's a very transparent system and may actually work in many situations. So I don't think that the billable hour needs to be completely abandoned. There is a transparency to it. It takes up the guesswork. Things just take what they take in terms of time. But I think there has to always still be that analysis. Is this of value? Is this product, this service that I'm getting, of value to the organization? You know, it's sometimes hard to know how long it'll take things to do things. But again, we always have to come back to that value. So the billable hour, it is just based on time, but it has to now include that analysis around value. What are disbursements? They can be quite evil, and I have few clients that have ever said, oh gee, thanks for charging me more on top of this very high hourly rate. So disbursements are those expenses that law firms charge on top of the billable rate. You know, they're generally fees that are external to the firm, like a court filing fee. But you want to carefully take a look at every single invoice to see what's being included on that. You know, is your lawyer charging you for things that in the real world humans would consider just general office overhead? Costs like scanning a document, which it doesn't cost money to scan a document. I appreciate this is time of the admin, but disbursements should not be for the purposes of paying your administrative staff's bill or their salary. You know, it has become a revenue center for some firms, and you know, clients are pushing back on this. So you know, and I as a consumer of legal services, it just grinds my gears when I pay hundreds of dollars an hour, and then to see them charge me 25 cents a page for photocopying. I mean, come on. Anyways, I find disbursements tend to really bring emotion out of people because it just feels very unsavory. So what is included in the hourly rate? I mean, I think it's important to think through what you know, what is paying for the law firm? What is included in this hourly rate? It all comes down to time, which is why the billable hour won't be abandoned anytime soon. But lawyers are trained and educated and have all this experience to perform services that are time. It's just time. So we are charging our time to do stuff. And yes, this includes thinking, considering legal issues, doing legal analysis. So that email that maybe took you only 3 minutes to read, it might have taken a lawyer 30 minutes to write because they had to research and draft and review it. And so emails, phone calls, reviewing a file, rereading the letters that were written 6 months ago to make sure that the current context still makes sense. These are all components of time. So this is all what is included in the hourly rate. And I'll talk a little bit more about how to help save time so that helps reduce that hourly rate. So, or not the hourly rate, but the overall bill. And I think that's really the crux of how you help a lawyer save time is going to have that direct impact on the bill. When we get clients in the door who are very organized, they might be emotionally as distraught as the next client, but if they're organized and you know, my team knows I love working with engineers because they come in with these beautiful cross-reference charts that have everything all nicely lined up in a very linear way, we can just hammer through that material fast and get straight to the value that lawyers bring to the table, which is the legal analysis and advice. Okay, types of billing arrangements, just another area to think about when you're looking at how you can consider different ways to obtain your legal services and how to have conversations with your lawyer about where there might be some opportunities for efficiencies. Certainty, budget certainty is always a huge ask that we have from clients. So I would say there's 4 main types of billing arrangements: the hourly that we just spoke about, flat or fixed fees, And this tends to be more for projects or things that there is a bit more certainty about how long it will take. When we get a very complex human rights matter through the door, for example, and we know that we have to sit and sort through all the facts, we need to review all the different documents, it's really hard to know how long that will take. If someone comes through the door and says, I have a 5-page contract, not a lot of variable compensation, no strange non-compete in here, how long will it take you to review? Or how much will it cost? We can give a fixed fee for that kind of work. Budget certainty is the big thing that we hear from clients. So we do have this program in place now, our monthly subscription program, where employers pay a fixed fee per month, depending on how large their workforce is, and you get all your documents up front. You get, the amount of legal services per employee per month. There's all this certainty around it, and I think more firms are starting to look towards subscription programs or monthly retainers, something that, especially for organization or institutional clients, that there's always going to be a little bit every month. So having some sort of monthly retainer, where we all have some understanding about what the scope of the overall work will be. It helps encourage more maintenance as you go along instead of the very expensive firefighting at the end of the day. It's an example of a fixed fee that clients may want to talk to their lawyer about. Limited scope retainers are fairly new, and we're still exploring it. Our law societies in Canada are still figuring out how to handle it. These are for clients that really just want a lawyer for a corner of their matter. They can read. They know how to handle a large amount of the file, but they need someone to come in and just help with certain corners or provide legal advice on whether a particular action is a good idea. We often are doing LSRs for executives who just need some coaching behind the scenes, for example. They do all their own negotiating because nobody wants to talk to a lawyer, so it can be far more effective. But they still may need that legal support behind the scenes. So LSRs can look like all kinds of things, but it's all about being clear with each other about what the scope is, and that may be a real opportunity for cost savings, especially for individuals. Contingencies have been around for a while, especially in the personal injury bar, where it's more in litigation matters where there's going to be some sort of award, hopefully at the end, and a law firm gets a cut of that award. So usually it's somewhere around 30%, and so the client pays either a very small retainer or no money up front, but they give 30% of their award as legal fees. We actually don't do a ton of them, but sometimes, depends on the issue. Okay, for the first place to start when you're thinking about your legal fees and how to review your company's legal fees and how to start containing that and starting to really think through where can there be opportunities for more certainty and some cost savings, is to first identify the types of legal issues that you're getting services for. So is a legal service in front of you, is it more of a maintenance type related service where it's around compliance and training, so that if you do some investment on that will really help save in the long term? Are some of the legal issues in front of you avoidable in the first place by just investing more internal resources, like training or having investing in some contracts so that you don't have the legal fees later on? Is it more transactional, one-off types of legal issue where you could, talk to your ongoing lawyer who you have a billable hour arrangement with, but say, I've got this employment contract, or we've got this manual. Can we do a fixed fee for this project? It might help bring certainty to the scope of what you're looking for. Or is the legal issue a firefighting type of issue where you just got to put your nose to the ground and really dig in, because it's, especially if it's one of those Hollywood movie bet the company type of issues, they hardly ever come up. So, usually that's not what it is, as much as everyone is really upset about a legal issue. Usually some calm will prevail, and it's not actually a fire that needs to be put out. It's more of a legal issue to address. But identifying the legal issue will help identify what kind of resources need to be thrown at the matter. If the next bullet, deciding whether or not it's solicitor or litigation is I mean, that's a lawyer distinction on our side, but for a solicitor matter, so drafting contracts, doing problem solving, where you're not in a hostile dispute with the other side, where you're negotiating and you're talking out issues, or where there's still some mediation involved, where the parties are all discussing things, or where on your own side you're getting contracts drafted and you're doing your compliance and your due diligence type legal work internally. The type of resources you invest in that, I think, directly impact how much you're going to have to throw out litigation down the road. So, clients tend to feel a bit reluctant to invest that upfront money, or they just feel like the math may not, they'll hedge their bets. But we see over and over and over, investing in great contracts and good, solid legal systems up front are always cheaper for a client than these crazy litigation files where nobody wins, other than the lawyer and all the fees they get because they get to go have a trial. So the more that you can throw at solicitor work, the cheaper it is for your organization. And finally, and I'll get more into this in my next slides, is the legal issue in front of you, is it a routine type of issue that you find yourself going back to your lawyer over and over and over, where you can really start thinking, okay, how do we automate this? How do we bring some technology to this? How do we maybe share a folder on whatever cloud system you're using, so that we can just really collaborate a lot more closely on this thing that we keep using, an employment contract, for example? Or is it truly a bespoke, very unique type of legal issue that we just got to, reinvent a wheel right now and get this out the door? And I'll speak more about the special Snowflake type of cases in a second. Here, this is more for our employee side clients and potential clients that come through the door. This issue of do I have a case? And employers will often ask us this question, and especially if they're part of an ongoing relationship, and they are considering whether they've got to terminate someone, for example, and they'll, do I have a case? Do we have a case? Should we, how much is it going to cost? There seems to be an understanding that is legal services, that is the thing we're providing. We are giving legal analysis on, what the exposure will be if you terminate this person who's 65 with a disability and been with you for 30 years. When individuals come through the door, especially more frontline individuals, and they ask, I just want to have a free consultation to see if I have a case. We struggle with that because that is legal services. There's no way to just, guess at, yeah, you have a case. No, you don't have a case. You need to review the documents, review the context, really talk to the person, understand what's going on. So, we're not a firm that does free legal consultations, because that is more often than not just a fishing exercise to get people through the door. Sometimes the answer is no, you don't have a case, so don't spend money on your legal fees. But beyond getting the legal analysis to know if it's a case. Anyways, our audience for this webinar, we know, is more employers who are looking to save legal fees for their organization. But this issue of do I have a case, I think also feeds into what is a lawyer's job? Our job is to conduct that legal analysis about what is the legal risk in front of us. And so this is more just a bone I need to pick on this webinar about do I have a case? It's a hard question to answer without doing legal analysis. Okay, back to employers and organizations. Do I need special Snowflake legal services? So if you're an employer or a freelancer, there are so many legal services on the internet, and there's lots of legal information available all over the place. The Ministry of Labor is great. It has a ton of great resources about the Employment Standards Act. As does the Human Rights Tribunal, you know, and the Commission. I mean, there are great resources out there, lots of blogs. I mean, we put out our weekly blog, and so there's lots of information out there. So what's the point of lawyers for businesses? And so I think, you know, one of the best questions that somebody can, that an organization can ask itself is this legal service that I need, is it a special snowflake, or is it routine? And if it is routine and it's available for free, or you can just pop on our blog, or, you know, we have a whole bunch of resources on our website, or you know, our webinar series. There's a lot of information out there. Sometimes you don't need to get legal advice. You can figure it out. But when it is a special snowflake, or where there's a real high risk, then it might be an issue. For the more routine legal matters, an organization can really save costs by thinking hard about its internal data systems. And I'm sure that most organizations already turn their mind to that for their production lines, for their, you know, for their own internal payroll, for, you know, for their sales process. But it's very much worth it to also do that for your legal systems. You know, so doing a contract audit internally, understanding where all the status of your contracts are, what kind of provisions are in them all, and get a chart going. You know, thinking through your internal data systems, your tracking systems, your templates, you know, what can you automate to bring efficiencies to the same task that we're doing over and over? Even something as simple as people requesting a sick leave. You know, if you're on a Google platform like we are, you know, get a form going, have it drop into a sheet, and off you go. You've got you've just automated tracking your vacation scheduler, for example, and then when you know how that fits into the employment law context is when then that employment relationship ends. You've already got the number ready to go of how many days are left in their vacation schedule. Now, if you're a bigger company, you've got some sort of payroll provider that will track that for you. But for freelancers, small employers, you know, there are easy ways to automate your tech and data systems internally without having to invest in really elaborate software. Just use your Google Sheets. You know, once you've done a task 2 or 3 times, I mean, that's in our firm, once we observe that we've done something 2 or 3 times, it's got to go on a list to start thinking about how to automate it, and how do we rein in the technology to make it more efficient. For employees, you know, not all legal services are a special snowflake, even though, especially when it comes to terminations, every termination is hard. Even if you're kind of happy that you get to leave, it's still, you know, nobody wants to be terminated. They are all emotionally difficult, but they're not all legally complex. So if you are, you know, we are in this do-it-yourself era. People come to us so informed. There's so much information out there. Sometimes you actually don't need a lawyer, and I know, you know, that's a bit sacrilegious for me to say, but sometimes if you are an employee without a lot of variable compensation, just a straight salary, you know, you've understood the contract, it's a fairly amicable split, there are resources that you can go and avail yourself of to handle the situation. You know, we have an ebook out now that is for that kind of situation. Someone who really doesn't need to hire a lawyer necessarily, but they do want to understand all their legal rights. So there are resources out there like that, websites that can help out. You know, more often than not, it's issue spotting and understanding whether you do need that lawyer or not. For hiring, you know, if you've got some complex variable compensation, you know, certainly if equity starts to come into the play, I think it's good to see a lawyer, you know, and then looking at termination provisions for sure in your contract, but with and you know, for employers who are drafting these types of documents, the same thing goes. You know, when you're looking at those termination provisions, you know, is this a very senior executive with all kinds of complex termination provisions, change of control, parachute type things, equity, what vests, what doesn't vest during the notice period? You know, that's when really you might want to start seeing a specialist. But for your straightforward employees, sometimes, and for employees, finding alternate resources, there are many out there at this point. Okay, tech and modern legal bills. There are different tech systems to streamline your process and different data systems to streamline the process, and all of which can really help save legal costs. They are interrelated. There's no doubt that these are all connected, very much so. So when obtaining legal services, whether you're an organization or an individual, the behind-the-scenes infrastructure of that law firm, it matters. Whatever systems and tech they have in place will absolutely directly impact the cost of your services, let alone the ease with which you obtain those services. Traditional firms have this great big overhead in expensive office towers. Not everybody needs that. If you are truly a global client with a global footprint and you need that insurance ticket of the great big firms, fantastic. I come from that world, and there's some fantastic lawyers there, so I'm certainly not saying anything on that front. But for many owner-operators and smaller businesses, tech startups, freelancers, no one's going to go to a great big Bay Street for that firm for that. And so thinking through overhead and the infrastructure of that law firm, in a world of technology, there's many options. So how that behind the scenes infrastructure looks, ask questions. Ask your lawyer lots of questions about that. Technology can really help lower the overhead for a firm. It can really help eliminate some of the additional administrative traditional roles. In my first couple of years of practice, I remember there would be assistants that would spend, a couple of days a week where they would, the lawyers would print up an email, put it into a basket, then that basket would become this giant pile of paper that would then get filed into folders that would then get put over into the file room. And now, if it's an email, just stick it in a folder and have all your emails in one spot. We collaborate on on most of our files, but in particular our emails, that's 80% of legal work these days. So, we have a system in place where we can share all of our client emails so that we can look at each other's emails. And there's no way we would ever have an admin person whose job it is to print things up and go put it in a file, or paperless for one thing. But technology can really, if you embrace it and have everybody in the organization using systems, it can eliminate so much overhead, which really helps contain legal fees. So the type of firm that you use needs to resonate with the type of business you have and be mindful of the cost of these things. To flip the responsibility back on a client, though, the clients can be a real partner in helping maximize the benefits of the tech and data systems by really embracing them and participating in the process. So, the intake data that is collected, for example, providing us, with electronic copies, just email stuff to us, or we can share folders and you can upload it into our cloud. Organizing information in tables, indexing information, really spending the time ahead of time to do up the chronology of events. It may take you longer to do that, but I can tell you that sitting on the phone with us for an hour and a half getting through it is going to be way more expensive than if you just provide a really nicely done up chronology of events and we can all just hit the ground running. Other tech systems that help provide some efficiencies and cost savings to people. How are documents being signed and exchanged, either with clients or externally? I mean, we just use a HelloSign for all of our retainers, for example, and there's it's all pretty seamless that way. The invoicing and paying bills component, traditionally that has been a really big administrative component of law firms. Bigger firms will have full-on accounting departments where there's a ton of paper that floats around once a month. If your firm has good systems in place, we just have a system. The first 3 days of the month, everyone has a turn that they have to go in and review the electronic versions of everything, and it all goes out the door. So it's, you know, technology can really help us collaborate and just cut to the chase without having all the extra layers of admin. And of course, AI and legal research. I mean, my view as a lawyer who spent lots of time being trained is that, you know, I don't know all the answers off the top of my head, and sometimes I need to go look it up. I need to read the recent cases. I need to do legal research, and clients don't like that. They tend to question, if you don't know that off the top of your head, you know, what am I paying hundreds of dollars an hour for? But here's a little secret sauce of the law profession. We don't know everything, and sometimes we have to look it up. Now, you know, we have a couple of AI legal research tools that we're using that has brought so much more accuracy to our legal research and really cut down on the amount of time of this, you know, looking for a needle in a haystack. An AI program can be far more accurate than a very tired articling student. So, you know, I think it's another example of where technology has really had a positive impact on how to deliver efficient services, but really get into the substantive piece of legal services to really make sure that clients are still getting a very high level of legal accuracy, even though all kinds of tech is involved. Okay, how to contain legal fees. I mean, I think I've kind of gone through this as we go along, but I'll just hammer through this bullet list. The right lawyer for the right legal issue. So, you know, we are employment lawyers, for example. We do contracts and service agreements and things that are related to employment law, but we would never do a family law case, for example. And so, and if you have a lawyer who has done everything, it's like, you know, sometimes you are reinventing the wheel, and so it's nice to keep your issues with a lawyer who knows how to do it already. I've already talked about, and that will save you money. I mean, that's the point of that. Thinking about organizing and writing down all your information, your evidence, the source of your materials, who said what was their name, when was it, organizing all of that and feeding that to your lawyer up front, whether you're an organization with ongoing matters or an individual, it can really help contain legal fees. I know that it might feel very convenient to be able to just pick up the phone and pick someone's brain, but you're not getting thoughtful legal advice sometimes because we don't know everything off the top of our head, and giving lawyers a chance to have that 5 minutes to really consider a legal issue will get you a better answer and save everybody time and money. Unbundling your legal services is another way to contain your legal fees. So thinking through what you can do on your own, and then what your law firm can do. For example, if you're an employer, you know, chasing after employees for doctor's notes, for example, rather than having us write on your behalf, you know, or us writing the doctor on your behalf. Happy to do so, but that's an example of an unbundled service that that you could really make your services more cost effective. Bundling your legal matter. So what I mean by that is, instead of calling or emailing every time you have a one-off quick question, compile a list and have one call that's a whole hour that will go through everything, and that will be far more cost effective than having 5 10-minute calls throughout well, that's not good math, 5 20-minute calls throughout the week. Lawyers love emails. We love the written word, so feel free to email as much as you can. We can read faster than listening to someone, try and sort through their facts, looking for documents. If we can read it, we can ask questions and answer nice and quick. We are lousy and very expensive therapists. So to the extent that and this is more for employee side than employer side, but for employee side clients that come in the door, our job is to help with a legal issue. We will be empathetic and as helpful as we can, but we are not a therapist. Ask billing questions all the time. Interrogate your lawyers. Ask them why things are costing what they're costing. If you feel like it's not transparent enough, ask for more details. There is no reason why there shouldn't be lots of transparency and easy conversations about invoices. If you feel that you're getting value, then it should be a very positive conversation. And then finally, let math govern your settlement considerations, meaning compromise. So settlements are all about nobody winning. It's about everybody giving a little bit to find some sort of resolution close to the middle. So, when employers dig in their heels that they will only give the absolute minimum on something, even if they really don't like this person, it is way more expensive to do that. And all the extra back and forth of legal fees and, just let math govern the situation, and quite often that will come to a much more cost-effective resolution. Okay, my last section, and I know I've hit 30 minutes, so I'm going to zip through this. 10 questions to ask when hiring a lawyer. So what are your hourly rates? Just be upfront. Sometimes I find people are a bit shy about that. They don't want to be offensive. It's like asking what someone's salary is, or asking about their sex life. Just what's your hourly rate? And what's the range in your firm? What disbursements do you charge for? So that you're not horrified when you get your first bill. Do you have different hourly rates in your firms? And who do you how do you determine who does what part of my file? So it's a reason why we really always want to have different levels of experience of lawyers in our firm, so that we can offer up services at different rates. It will depend on how complex an issue is. More often than not, hopefully you're working with a lawyer that will collaborate very closely with other people in the firm to just put the work in the right spot that makes it the most efficient. Ask your lawyer, do you charge for emails, phone calls, file updates? We do, because emails, phone calls, and file updates tend to be time that we've spent. So, but ask if that is, so that there's no sticker shock on the bill when you've emailed someone 10 times. Any update? No. Any update? No. Any update? No. That's legal. I mean, it doesn't feel like you're getting legal advice there, but it's still using a lawyer's time. Related to that is, if there are more administrative type of questions, ask who, which administrative person you can speak to. Our office manager, Janice, knows everything, so just ask her if there's anything that you need help with. How frequently do you bill, and what are the payment methods? That having frequent, at least monthly bills really helps everyone stay on top of the status of the bill and moves things along. How do you exchange information? Are you paperless? How do you use tech in your day-to-day workflow? Just gauge the efficiencies of the firm that way. How can I help make my case more cost and time effective? Lawyers love that question, because now we can have the conversation about how do we collaborate more on this matter. What value-added services does your firm provide? Do you have free monthly webinars like this? Do you have blogs? Do you have resources on your website? What other value-added services do you have? Because many employers can then, help themselves and have tool themselves up for getting through some of their issues on their own. And I think an important question is, have you handled this kind of issue before? Everyone needs to start somewhere. I fully appreciate that. But if you're in a firm with different levels of experience, chances are someone's dealt with that issue already. And that will help everyone start further ahead and bring some efficiencies to it all. Okay, that is the crux of the thoughts I had today. If you have any questions, here are the lawyers in our firm. Feel free to reach out to any one of us. Janice Morris is our office manager, so she's amazing with any types of issues you might have around your invoices or any administrative type matters. Please feel free to join us in our next topic in April. It's all set out on the website at our SpringForward Legal Updates link. Thank you very much for joining us today, and feel free to get in touch with any questions that you have about your bill. Thanks very much.